Hello there, I'm Raymond Goh and you're watching Nightline. Our headlines today. Malaysia and Singapore set a month of truce to settle airspace dispute. And government to probe claims that China offered to bail out 1MDB. Good morning. Malaysia and Singapore on Tuesday have agreed for both sides to immediately and simultaneously suspend Malaysia's permanent restricted area over Pasir Gudang and Singapore's implementation of the Instrument Landing System ILS procedure for Seletar Airport. In a joint statement after a bilateral meeting, the foreign ministers of both countries, Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah and Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, said the suspension will be in place for 1 month in the first instance.
The first agreement we arrived at was to agree to the simultaneous and immediate suspension of Malaysia's permanent restricted area over Pasir Gudang and Singapore's implementation of the Instrument Landing System procedures for Seletar Airport. This simultaneous and immediate suspension will be for a period of 1 month.
Both countries also agreed that in the meantime, the transport ministers of the two countries should meet soon for discussions on the restricted area and the ILS procedure to ensure the safety and efficiency of civil aviation. The implementation of the ILS at Seletar Airport in Singapore had aircraft landing at the airport using Malaysian airspace over Pasir Gudang, Johor, which Malaysia objected to. Singapore and Malaysia had also blamed each other for what either side insisted was the extension of port limits that were seen as a violation of sovereignty and international law. On maritime issues surrounding the Johor Bahru and Singapore port limits, the two ministers agreed to establish a working group headed by the Permanent Secretary of the Singapore Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Secretary-General of the Malaysian Foreign Ministry. The working group will study and discuss the legal and operational matters in order to de-escalate the situation on the ground and provide a basis for further discussions and negotiations. The working group is to report to the foreign ministers within 2 months. Malaysia will look into claims that China had offered to bail out One Malaysia Development Berhad, 1MDB, in 2016 in exchange for lucrative projects. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said he only knew that the cost of the projects were inflated and was unaware of such claims previously. The government, however, will pursue the matter if found to be true.
No, we know that the price is inflated, but whether there was such a deal or not, I'm not. I think I have to go and check back. I do not want to say yes or no. I have to go and check with the records, but I'll be interested to have a copy of those minutes by Asian Wall Street. But definitely, the price of these projects is inflated. You look at the Sabah Gas Pipeline project, how can 8.3 billion ringgit has been paid 88% of the entire project cost, even though the work done is only 10%. Something is wrong there, isn't it? I think that is so clear. You don't have to be an accountant and lawyer to know something is wrong. So I'll have to check on that.
Lim was responding to a Wall Street Journal WSJ report at a media conference in Putrajaya on Tuesday that Beijing would use its influence to help on the 1MDB issue on condition they were awarded the 65.76 billion ringgit East Coast Rail Link ECRL and the 10.27 billion ringgit Trans-Sabah gas pipeline projects. WSJ, in its report published on Monday, said China officials had proposed to persuade the United States and other countries to drop their probe into the state sovereign fund following revelations of corruption and abuse of power. The Daily was also quoted as saying that the minutes claimed by China had offered to bug the homes and offices of WSJ reporters in Hong Kong who were pursuing the 1MDB case to identify where they received their information from. In return, it said Malaysia offered lucrative stakes in railway and pipeline projects for China's One Belt, One Road program of building infrastructure abroad. Meanwhile, the finance minister warned on Tuesday that MCA and other political parties which received money from 1MDB must now return the funds. Lim said that opposition party leaders, including MCA President Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong, cannot plead ignorance on the origin of the monies in their possession.
Wee Ka Siong said, oh, this one before my time. By that time, I was not the deputy president, I was not president, I don't know anything. You cannot wash your hands of it. If you can wash your hands off it to say that, at that time, I'm not the president or deputy president, I do not know, then we can also take the same attitude. Oh, itu GST punya bayaran balik tak buat. Itu dulu punya kerajaan punya cerita. Tak ada kaitan dengan kita. Kita tak perlu ambil peduli. Kita tak perlu bayar balik. Itu refund GST. Bolehkah kita bersikap sedemikian? We cannot take this type of approach.
Previously, Datuk Sri Wee was reported to have said that as far as he was concerned, MCA did not receive a single cent from 1MDB on the day he became Deputy President on December 21st, 2014.
If you are the MCA President, your source of funds is doubtful, is disputed. You have to go and check and be accountable for it, especially when it is dirty money. I urge MCA to return the money back to 1MDB. I'm talking about 1MDB because it's not owned by MOF. 1MDB is a wholly owned MOF subsidiary. So on behalf of MOF, I'm asking, on behalf of 1MDB, I'm asking MCA return back the 16.5 million ringgit. And also other political parties.
On what action would be taken if the money is not returned, he said that 1MDB will know what to do. At the same media conference, Lim revealed that the Barisan Nasional BN government had closed its financial accounts more than a month earlier over the past few years when it was still in power to avoid the government funds from running dry. He said this was proof of poor financial administration, all in the name of making sure their finances looked good, knowing they did not have sufficient funds to run to the end of the year. Lim said in comparison the Pakatan Harapan PH government is only in its first year in power and has managed to close its accounts on December 21st, meaning only a 10-day shutdown period.
If they extend until December, they run out of funds. So this is a very, I would say, very unprofessional method of cutting down expenditure. That means the whole government machinery grinds to a halt if you stop or you close the accounts on 15 November. I said this cannot be so. The government cannot stop functioning after 15 November.
He said although for the first time the government closed the account on December 21st, it is grateful that the balance is still surplus with no deficit. Earlier, he submitted an allocation of 25 million ringgit under the 2019 budget for registered religious schools to the minister in the Prime Minister's department, Datuk Sri Mujahid Yusof Rawar. Lim said the allocation was given at the same time to ensure more orderly plannings could be made rather than submitting in stages during the year as previously practiced. Primary Industries Minister Teresa Kok has queried Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak over the dubious sale of the Malaysian Rubber Board MRB land at Sungai Buloh known as Lot 481. In a statement issued on Tuesday, she said the former Prime Minister must respond to all the direct and pointed questions thrown at him over the land sale. Kok said the matter is serious and involved public money, both that of MRB and the Employees Provident Fund. She said Datuk Sri Najib had remained evasive from the start and kept beating around the bush when criticising the government's revelation of the sale transaction, which was directed by the cabinet under him. The minister said anyone can see that a direct sale to EPF would have been most logical and would have benefited the poor and deserving contributors of EPF immensely. She questioned why Aset Tanah Nasional Berhad or ATNB, a special purpose vehicle SPV under the Finance Ministry, was used to cream off almost 800 million ringgit in the unwarranted sale and EPF deprived of the discount. The ATNB is an incorporated company limited by guarantee, like many GLCs, and unlike MOF and other government ministries, is not subject to very stringent financial restrictions. Kok said that it is precisely why many GLCs have become the subject of investigations since Pakatan Harapan took over the government. Depositors of the Pilgrims Fund Board, or Tabung Haji (TH), are not required to return the bonus that have been given to them. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Sri Dr. Mujahid Yusof Rawah, said the reason is that the depositors had no knowledge of the misappropriation of funds in TH.
Bagi mereka yang menerima, dia tak tahu apa penyelewengan yang berlaku dan telah diberikan hibah atau dividen itu. So kita live to that only lah, cukup lah. Tak payah kita nak bayar balik ke, atau sebab itu akan menimbulkan orang kata kesukaran.
Datuk Sri Dr. Mujahid said this at a media conference in Putrajaya on Tuesday in response to public concern over the halal status of the bonus received by TH depositors. This followed a report that Tabung Haji had been illegally paying the bonus to its depositors since 2014, which contravened the Tabung Haji Act 1995, as TH had more debts than assets in the previous years. Companies offering e-hailing services must get their act together and ensure that they are licensed to operate by July 12 this year. Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siew Fook stressed on Tuesday that the government has given sufficient time for registration and will not extend the deadline anymore.
So before 12th of July, they have to fulfill all the conditions, including registering the drivers for PSP, providing the PSP courses for the drivers and so on. So, I mean, I'm surprised that the e-hailing told you that they are not prepared. So, I mean, they have been briefed and the discussion is ongoing.
Loke, who was speaking at a media conference, also strongly urged e-hailing drivers to sort out their documents as soon as possible and not leave it to the last minute. This comes from the constant dissatisfaction shown by taxi drivers against their e-hailing counterparts, complaining of an uneven playing field stemming from the lax requirements imposed on ride-hailing counterparts. Entrepreneur Development Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Ridzuan Yusof on Tuesday stressed that only part of the 20 million ringgit fund, which is the existing allocation for research and development, or R&D, for the ministry, will be used to develop the third national car prototype. He said the Entrepreneur Development Ministry, like other ministries, has grants for R&D, and he had brought forth his views to the Cabinet to utilize this fund to create the national car prototype.
Dana yang kita lihat yang berada di mana kementerian adalah kalau kita kumpulkan sedikit sebanyak dalam lingkungan 20 juta. Bukan bermakna 20 juta itu untuk buat prototype. Prototype yang kita sedang bangunkan will cost less than that through our research and development. Dia kena faham lah. I hope there's no more question about this. Dalam masa untuk menjual.
He was met after the pre-launch of the Malaysia Halal Expo 2019 in Cyberjaya on Tuesday. On Monday, Datuk Sri Ridzuan had reportedly said his ministry had approved close to 20 million ringgit of funds to attract private investors to develop the prototype for the third national car. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng reportedly said earlier that the government has not made any decision to invest in the third national car project, but stressed that it has no problem in providing allocations to carry out R&D. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad will be writing letters to the French President and the Norwegian Prime Minister to protest the European Union EU Parliament's decision to ban palm oil. When met at the Reach and Remind Friends of the Industry Seminar 2019 and Dialogue on Tuesday, Primary Industries Minister Teresa Kok Soo Sim said once the letters were completed, the ministry would send a copy to the Malaysian media.
And in the cabinet, we have discussed this issue because we see that it's going to be a trend where one after another, countries in Europe, they are going to pass this kind of rules or resolutions in their parliament. This is going to affect the bilateral relations between Malaysia and all these EU countries.
As an additional measure to combat this issue, the minister also said her ministry would chair a palm oil war zone meeting involving the International Trade and Industry Ministry, the Foreign Ministry, and the Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Ministry to discuss how the government would deal with the ban. The EU is the third largest import market for Malaysian palm oil. Kok also shared some positive news as the price of crude palm oil is slowly picking up from 1,700 ringgit per tonne in the last 3 months to slightly above 2,000 ringgit per tonne. Palm oil and palm-based products had generated 62.7 billion ringgit from January to November 2018 versus 71.4 billion recorded for the same period in 2017. More to come on Nightline. Teenager killed in tragic accident. Welcome back to Nightline. In Kelantan, a 17-year-old boy was killed in a road accident when he was travelling to school on his motorcycle early Tuesday. The victim, Farhan Naaf Faiz, was riding to school with his twin brother when the accident occurred. It was learnt that the incident was caused by a malfunction to the motorcycle's brakes, causing it to fail to stop in time before ramming into the rear of a car. The victim was thrown off his vehicle and later succumbed to his severe head injuries. His brother, also a student at the same school, however, survived, sustaining light injuries. Probe is underway to determine the actual cause of the accident. In Pulau Pinang, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC have arrested a government department director to help with investigations into a graft case involving more than 45,000 ringgit. The State Director of the National Unity and Integrity Department was detained at 8:10 a.m. on Tuesday. He is suspected of abusing his position to propose his son's company to the Edu-Kids System Tender Committee to run the state's Unity Nursery class system. The 58-year-old is being investigated for using his position to obtain gratification. He was produced at the Georgetown Magistrates Court at 2:45 p.m., where a 6-day remand period was facilitated to assist in the investigation. According to a source, the director's son has been picked up in Ipoh today and is expected to be remanded tomorrow. Police are asking for the public's assistance to help track down 4 individuals in connection with the murder of Kim Jong-nam, the half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. State Criminal Investigation Department head SAC Fadzil Ahmad said 2 of the witnesses are locals while the other 2 are Indonesians. The 2 Indonesians are 24-year-old Raisa Rinda Salma and 33-year-old Desi Mary Sinta, while the 2 locals are Tam Yuk Kun and Ng Wah Hung, aged 50 and 38 respectively. Police said the 4 individuals remain under the radar, although checks with the Immigration Department found that they are still in the country. Those with information can contact the Serdang District Police Headquarters or the investigating officer at the number shown on your screen. The sexual assault case involving former minister in the Prime Minister's department, Datuk Sri Shaidan Kasim, which was fixed for mention on Tuesday, was postponed to February 25th due to his health condition. According to his lawyer, Datuk Sri Shaidan was admitted to the Kuala Lumpur hospital on Monday, and the Kanga Sessions Court has fixed February 18th for submission of documents. 2 men armed with pistols fled with stolen cash after they robbed a grocery shop in Rawang, Selangor on Monday. Police said the robbers stormed into the shop and fired a warning shot to intimidate the shop attendant before grabbing some cash from the register and fleeing the scene. Fortunately, no one was hurt in the 4:40 p.m. incident in Taman Desa Kundang. Still in Selangor, police on Tuesday have obtained a week-long remand order for 4 individuals, including a woman, in connection with the murder of a former Angkatan Muda Keadilan AMK candidate who died in Shah Alam on Monday. In the 5 p.m. incident, M. Tiyahu sustained serious injuries after he was stabbed by 3 men who were armed with machetes. The 30-year-old victim was rushed to the Shah Alam hospital but was pronounced dead at 6:30 p.m. Over in Perak, a night market trader has been charged in the Teluk Intan Magistrates Court on Tuesday to 2 counts of keeping and selling smuggled liquor and cigarettes worth almost 600 ringgit at Taman Langkap Jaya. Teo Chi Lun, 32, however, pleaded not guilty to the charges before Magistrate Syadatul Kamilah Zakaria. Coming up after the break, scores injured after man attacks students with hammer in rampage. Stay tuned.